Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Cobham, welcome to the Drumeo Studios.
Thank you.
Man, it's been a pleasure just getting to know you a little bit. Going out, having some food, getting a chance to sit down with you. And, you know, for me, I've come to the realization you're so much more than just a drummer. You're this whole, like, you have this whole background of music, production, and development. You're so much more of a, well, you're equally a musician as you are a drummer. And so I think for me, it's been really cool to see that, that whole different side of you that I guess a lot of people probably don't get a chance to see. So I feel very lucky about that. So
it's not often that I get a chance to expose that side of me, you know. So it's great to be here and be able to do that.
Yeah, cool. So if you haven't heard of Billy Cobham before, which I'm sure isn't that many of you, he played in an unbelievable amount of recordings and bands. Some of the most popular were a band called Spectrum 40. The musicians there, Dean Brown, Rick Fairbracci,
and Jerry Atkins.
So definitely check that out. Great band. You've done something with the Frankfurt Radio Jazz Orchestra.
Yeah, it's called Broad Horizons. It's the most recent recording I've have, and it's not that easy to get, but it's around.
And you also played with Peter Gabriel and Miles Davis, just to name a few more of the many artists you've played with. So he's also working on a really cool retreat for musicians, anyone who plays music, called the Art of Rhythm Section Retreat. And the first one is happening in Mesa, Arizona.
Right, and hopefully it won't be the last one. But it's taking root, and that's the most important thing, Jared. It's kind of the way I want to go about it. After watching for over the last 50 years what goes on in the business in terms of a rhythm section and how we all come together, is to act as a coach and sort of mentor, as we call it, interns, those who take part, because you're not students. If you're working in a rhythm section, then you already know something about playing within the rhythm section. Yeah. But how to get you to sharpen your ideas and to work together with others whom you may never have played with before, or those who, of course, you play with, but are not getting as much satisfaction from them in terms of how you present yourself, how they receive you. So the whole idea for me is to come with guys like Rick Fairbracci, Dean Brown, Jerry Atkins, and we talk about it. We become your guinea pigs. We play for you and say, okay, what is it you hear in us that you may or may not like, or what would you want to change from your perspective as a player? And then you come and you play with us, whether you be a bass player, guitar player, or keyboard player, of course, a drummer. And we try to figure out where you're going with it and give you the best advice we can.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's called the Art of the Rhythm Section Retreat. We're actually going to be touching on some of the stuff that you talk about, but obviously we have a very limited window of time.
Right.
So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend it. It sounds like an amazing event.
Yeah, it should be lots of fun.
So also would like to give a couple quick shout outs to Tama Drums, Sabian Cymbals, Vic Firth Sticks, as well as Evans Drumheads, for providing some awesome gear. Also Roland, who there's not a lot of gear here, but you actually use some electronics.
Yes, I use Roland Electronics when I play now, and can't say enough about it. It's a lot of stuff to learn. The learning curve is not very steep. What's nice about Roland is that everything is pretty simple and pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
If you just read, sort of enlarge the fine print a little bit and go, oh, that's what you meant. Okay, now I get it. Yeah,
nice.
Then it works.
Nice. Also want to say a big shout out to Ron Danette. Ron's actually here today, playing a Danette snare here as well. And Ron actually helped connect the dots between me and Billy, and his, you know, he introduced me to you. So I'm very grateful for him for doing that, because this is really cool.
I second that. Yeah. He makes some wonderful drums, and it makes it easier for me to work with and play.
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get into some of this stuff about the lesson, because as I was saying, you know, you have such a more wealth of knowledge other than just drums, and you know, we can teach exercises, and we have lots of that on Drumeo. But I like this because it digs deeper into kind of the mastermind behind what you've created in your career and stuff, and that. And what I've learned here is Bill was showing me all of his stuff that he's transcribed in Sibelius. And not only does he know his part, but he knows everyone else's part because you've actually written
I wrote the parts.
So when he's playing a song, like he knows every single rhythm that every single other instrument is playing, every single melody that they're playing. The depth of understanding that you have is so much greater than I think anyone has ever seen. So obviously it'd be great if we had 4 or 10 hours to discuss this stuff, but
you know, to generalize it, really, it has to do with me being able to better play effectively with my colleagues in the band. You know, whether it's a vocalist or a wind player or as a soloist, to support that individual or those individuals because I understand the mechanics to a general degree of what's happening with them. So what the sound is, what they're seeking to achieve, and in return, I get from them acknowledgement for, wow, you're listening. You're not just listening is a word, but you're actually affecting something that'll give me more support to make me do something else because I feel more secure about it. Yeah. So by writing music as the drummer in the band, quote unquote, which is a very broad and almost unfavorable term in a way, I'm not just beating the drums, I'm trying to create an environment through the drums to support my fellow musicians. Mm-hmm. So that means knowing about this instrument in relationship to what they do, I can choose the sounds I need in real time to support them. Yeah. So it's not just about, the timing is very important, but on many different levels. It's not just timing in playing time metronomically, it's about timing in when I choose to play what, so that it's effective at the time, you see. Otherwise, we're out of sync, and you can't be out of sync when you play the drums on any level.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so let's get into this. So the first thing we wanted to talk about was introducing each other in a performance.
Right.
And we talked about some of this before, and you talked about defining what the first step is in the musical journey.
And this was in relationship to walking onto the bandstand cold. Yes, you're warmed up to play. You're geared up to play. Okay, you're going to play. But what are you going to play? And with whom are you going to play with? How do you introduce each other to what you do? And my suggestion is always working from the simplest position you can. As a drummer, the first thing I think about is, am I in control of what I'm going to play on? Making sure that I'm sitting correctly, and all these things, they seem very, very basic, but we take it for granted, and you should not. You should always be cognizant of what you're doing around and what you're playing on and how the drums sound. Okay, so now I'm there. Okay, so now we're going to play a piece that we all know, and it's, say it's a shuffle. Is it a shuffle like this? Or is it something like this? It can be, and it's going from duple, I've gone to a full triplet kind of approach. What are we going to do? You keep your ears open, you're sensitive to what's going on around you, how the musicians whom you don't know are going to play or approach playing patterns. The guitarist, the bass player. How do you sync up with them? Who do you listen to and try to draw an equal thread around with? Everybody, first and foremost. But as soon as you come to a point where everyone's in agreement, which you should be in about a bar or two, and you know the tempo's here, you, the leader of the band, contrary to everybody else's belief, are the leader of the band when you play this drum set. Because remember, if it doesn't work, everyone looks at you and says, what happened? They don't look forward, they look backwards. They become part of the audience and say, hey. And the only person behind the scenes is me. So then I must lead the band, right? So I play, and I play with security. listening, how everyone phrases, and you keep everyone together that way. Simply, from there, you build on it. Okay, that's your introduction. Now they know who you are, and they understand who they are as part of the band. They make up this group called the rhythm section. It has a face. It's created by moi. You see? From there, we go out into the world. And we play this one tune. It may be the only tune we play together for the rest of the night. So we might as well make it the best one.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And so you talked about like knowing the terminology, and so do you want to speak a little bit to that, like as far as you talked about playing a shuffle and stuff, and getting into like when someone else says this is what we're playing, like we're playing this type of shuffle or this type of beat or this type of beat. So it's how much do you go into learning all those different types of terminologies?
Well, what you do is that you keep your mind your head to the ground. You listen to all types of music. You become sensitive to that, and then this becomes again your experiences. Okay, it's let's say it can be Zydeco, or I shouldn't say not Zydeco, but second line. And you You may live up north, and so that's very rare for you to hear. But if you've heard it or heard it through recordings, you kind of get an idea of where you want to go with it. You keep things simple, you play sensibly, you don't try to overplay ever. That's a big rule. You try to play for and support those who are part of the band at the time, okay? And the objective is to make that kind of feeling home for everybody, so that you can tell. Sometimes I see in the shoulders of the musicians that I'm working with how the tension is held here. And as soon as you do something that they know, they go, yeah, and everything drops down, and now they're here, and they're digging in, and they're wanting to play because they feel comfortable. They know what that is. They know how it's working. And voila, we're all on the same page. So now I'm not going to embarrass myself. You know, it's this kind of feeling, and you realize it doesn't take much. They just want to have a good time, just like everybody else, you know, and they want to put their best foot forward. But the shortcoming will be, how are we going to treat the rhythm? What are we going to do with it? I don't know this guy back here. How is he going to play? And as soon as you give them something that they know, it's like getting out on the dance floor and understanding the music and how your partner is going to dance. You know, you go, oh, you do the same thing. Okay, boom, we're in, and all of a sudden everybody's having a good time. But if you don't do the same thing, it could be rough. You know, which foot do we start on? And so you come up with something that it's very, very simple. If it's not a shuffle and you don't feel comfortable with the shuffle, play something that you feel comfortable with. You know, chances are everybody will go with you because you feel secure about it, and that's what this does. That's what's important.
I think what's scary for a lot of people going into those situations is they're going to get something thrown at them that they don't know, and then they're going to get stuck in a situation where they say, oh, it's being counted off, and they're terrified because they're going to make a mistake. So you're just saying, play something you know. Play something
you know for sure, and be secure in it, because if you get into that situation where you're not comfortable, you'll never do it again. You know, you never want to do that again. And so therefore, it's one time. You learn something there. Don't go places where you're not wanted. You know, don't jump into something that you don't know very much about. That's a major lesson to learn. You see, it's like being in a recording studio and being asked. This happened. A real quick story. A percussionist was hired, and they asked, do you know bossa nova? Do you know how to play tamburo? Because he needed the job, he said yes. He didn't know. Made one mistake. It was a jingle. Not enough time to make another mistake. They were on the phone for somebody else that was around the corner and came in. The second time they stopped, they said, okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Please come over, sign your W-9 form, tax. And if we ever call you again, this is what we'd like you to do. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
You know, but lesson learned. It's not just, and it was done in public, primarily because it's a business and we have no time to take prisoners, you know. So either you're in or you're out. Done. And that, from there, you go, okay, if I want to be in this business, this is what I have to do.
Yeah. So, okay, so once you get that kind of introduction over, we talked about establishing the body of conversation.
Yes.
And specifically getting everyone comfortable with what the musical conversation is about.
Yes.
So how would you do that?
So what I do is that I lead people with thoughts of patterns that I feel they can feel comfortable with. If it's going to be the shuffle again, as I said, the most important thing is to be consistent with how I bridge my patterns, that they are at the same tempo as the tempo that I play in support of the band. So if I have a drum fill, I don't rush the drum fill. I don't try to force the issue. I try to play as if I were having a conversation with my best friend and we're talking. Yes, we're emotional, but there's a rhythm to that. You know, it's like as we're speaking now, I can play. And this, my inner time is here. Same.
Yeah.
It's the same. And you feel like you're dancing. And so I'm saying to you, yeah, I understand that. And you're feeling this, and you're feeling, and next thing you know, it's on to how do we close the whole thing? What do, you know, where are we going? I have no time. No, we can't talk about, let's talk about this later, or boom, boom. And you end it just the same way as you began.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just playing music is all about music. It's a sonic conversation. All the time. It's just that we don't use words.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to read what I wrote here because I really liked what you said, and I want you to talk about it a little bit. But you said the phrases that connect have to be musically effective while sustaining the rhythm.
Yes, but it is. And so it's like you know, it's like. Never gone. Still there. In Western music, we play in two idioms, duple and triple. That can be both. And that's your point of reference. So everything is related to this.
Yeah.
You see? And as long as that is happening, not necessarily sound, but in feeling. So it can be. There. It's just that you feel it.
Yeah.
You don't have to hear it. You have to know that it's there.
Yeah.
So we talked about our inner sense of time and the development of it.
Yeah.
That's when this becomes silent and you only use it in places where you feel it's necessary.
Yeah. We filmed a whole course that's going to be for Drumeo students called Internal Synchronization. That's what he's referring to. For all you Drumeo students, you'll get to see that once it gets in edit. So that's a great course, by the way.
Thanks.
So, okay, finally, we talked about controlling the level of intensity. So when you are in a situation, I know the drummer has a lot of control over these situations when you're playing a song.
Yes.
Right? And so do you have any tips around things to do, things not to do in those situations?
Again, when you're playing and you're dealing with intensity levels, it can be that you play more complex. You start off, of course, simply. Now you want to change the level of intensity, so you might go. addition of certain combinations of sounds
Yeah.
that tends to, and it's where you do it, that tends to signal to the other players, hey, we're going here.
Yeah.
You know, so if it starts here, and if you check out a Steely Dan record back in the day, maybe 20 years ago, it's like almost all the time, Paro, and that's all it. But everything it's like a signal to move to the next level, and it's almost like it's not louder, it's not faster, it's just got this feeling to it that where the chords change and you understand. Now we're walking. This is one for Purdy because he's in the middle of all of that stuff, you know, and so he's. And it just starts to boom, boom. But meanwhile, the tempo's the same, and he may play, I mean, that you can hear any toms that he played because everything's dead. But you can feel it, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
And, you know, so. Not necessarily louder, just stronger.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where your intensity is coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the changes in the rhythm, synchronized with the chords, the feeling of like, okay, now we were standing here, now we're moving, bang, ding, bang, and you feel like you're walking. You know, yeah, ba 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 ba, and now you're at the next level.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's one.
That's great. Cool. Okay, so I think we should move on because one of the things that you're really, really well known for is your soloing and the different types of melodic phrasing that you can create with all the different toms and stuff. So I was hoping you could do a solo for us today.
Yes.
Will that work?
I had a key here somewhere, but I guess I lost it again.
We can get one for you.
Is there any in the
Here's one
house?
right here.
Oh, here's good.
The case of the disappearing drum key.
It's this one. It's always missing when I need it most.
So while you're doing that, I'll let you finish that.
So if you want, I'll start now.
Yeah, I just want to tell people before he gets started, if you have any questions, you Drumeo students who are in the Drumeo live chat, there's a submit a question box right below. Just go ahead, enter your questions there. Once Bill's done his solo, we're going to get to as many questions as possible. You can take it away. Yeah.
Cool.
That's great. Oh, man. It's so surreal being here. And we have a whole group of VIP students. Actually, you have a little bit of a live audience today, too, which is not normal here at Drumeo. So that's great.
Wow.
I know the lights are bright.
Who let them in?
All right. You ready for some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Okay, the first one is from actually a Berkeley professor named Henrique de Almeida. And he's taught here on Drumeo before. And so he has a question.
Oh, I know Henri.
You know Henry?
Yeah, I know Henri.
Okay, cool.
Brazil.
Exactly. He says, first to say hi to Bill for me. And he says, hey, here's my question. Bill, you are the father and master, #1 of our beloved fusion drumming style. I love every time you play solos over a vamp, such as Stratus. How can one start to develop the ability to play and sustain such a rapid passage of diddle combinations for that long?
The way you have to do it is to build enough confidence in yourself and what you do, the amount of power that you have to learn to pace yourself. You have to have the confidence to pace yourself so that if you're playing this is a pattern. Notice that I'm singing much of what I play.
Yeah.
The concept is to sing. You know, for thousands of years, Indian drummers never played, when they were studying, interning apprentices, they always had to learn to sing the patterns that they were going to play first before they played it. They were not allowed to touch a drum until they could sing the patterns.
Yeah.
And the whole objective was to be able to understand that when you play, what you play, you must know here first before you can play it. Yeah. So the key to all playing and drumming is to play it up here before you play it down here. Otherwise, if you have no plan, then anything you play here is going to have no meaning. So even with something where it's constant like Stratus, I can hear that pattern, I can hear that phrase in my head, and I can play against that phrase. The tempo never changes.
Yeah.
The feeling, the phrasing is within that. The tempo is this big square box that called the framework. You stay inside the box. You play that pattern in your mind, and you play against that pattern in your mind. So you have to build the confidence to be able to sing that pattern and play against it.
Yeah.
And then you got it.
Simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Okay, next question from Bones C. He says, Billy, thank you. I've always loved your command of the rudiments around the kit. How do we drummers keep them musical without sounding like rudiments? And this might be a similar answer to that last question, but...
It's a little bit different.
Okay.
In that patterns like, again, we play fundamentally 2 rudiments. One is called double, like a double stroke, or single stroke. Duple. Okay, so it's pa 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 against da 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 da, which are triplets. Fundamentally, it's all that is. No matter what the patterns may be, it could either be in a triple phrase or in a duple phrase. And so, you break it down into those 2 sections. It's about being able to understand how to make the transition from double to triple, and to be able to use the grace notes that may enhance a triple or enhance a double. But the key is the accent in where you place that accent on a pattern. So if it's a notice I'm playing and I'm I'm working again with the internal synchronization of the development of my inner clock, which these My bass drum is playing, my hi-hat is playing for practice, just for practice and to give you an idea of where I am. And as I'm doing this, I've gotten to a point where I can speak to you and do this at the same time, which means that the development of my inner clock is advanced now enough for me to play that. I'm still in sync in that little framework called controlling the time. I can do all these other things because I'm thinking multi-level. And this is developed by specifically understanding what you have to work with in your mind before you apply it to the drum set. Think things through. Don't try to play more than you're capable of. Use the foundation that you play simply. You have only so much power to work with as a player. So you want to use that power that's stored here in the chi. If that's all you've got, you can use what's always takes no energy to use. It's just defining an imagination, using your imagination to decide what to do, is to play with dynamics. So if your dynamic range is wide and you can access anything, playing a pattern like this, or like this, so you have different levels, all of a sudden that sounds differently. Especially when you're throwing accents in different places. And all you've done is this. That can be your solo. It's about imagination.
Yeah.
You see, doesn't have to be complicated in terms of how many notes you play per bar. It has to be complicated from the standpoint of what you use to play the notes.
Yeah.
See, different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different way to think about it.
Yeah.
This one's from Polish Drummer Forever. It says, I'm a right-handed drummer that loves the challenge of building ambidexterity. I have run into the problem of being able to play fast 16th notes on his left hand. So do you have any tips on increasing the independence in his left hand?
That's a different question than playing fast.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So he's asking, increasing the speed or the independence. If it's the independence, then it's very easily done. It's again with the internal synchronization that we have the lessons on. I would refer him to that.
Yeah.
Okay, for ambidextrosity. Okay, because when you play like this, you can play. My point of reference, and I'm playing against it, and I'm now liquid. I'm flowing and expanding and then contracting the time because I know exactly where I am here and here.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you can play on any meter at any point in time.
Yeah. So Polish drummer, I know you're a Drumeo student, so once that course comes out, you can go ahead and watch that. I think you'll love it. There's lots of great questions, so I have to kind of choose which ones to ask too.
Got it.
But this one's from Andrea, and I like this because it's something we've been talked about a little bit. He says, you have such a natural and pure sound. It sounds really human and real. What do you think about those modern trigger drums and way of recording with computers and plugins, etc.?
I applaud the person who does it. It's just that when it comes down to it, those things don't play themselves. If you don't have a concept as to what to do with them, then you can't play them.
Yeah.
You know, it has to have, it still takes a human brain to think about what you want to do with this stuff. Yeah, you can do this, you can do that. You can spend the rest of your life talking about what you can do, you know, and you can show and examples of what you can do. But very few have done anything with this stuff because they're still stuck on what they can do with it. You see, and there's a big difference. Once you choose a route, go that route, sort that out, then add to it. It should become easier. It depends on what you have on the palette that you need to achieve musically.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all you have is a tool that you can use in so many different ways, but you don't use because you have no reason to.
Yeah. Cool. This one's from Lucas Seon. He said, hi, Jared and Billy. I'm doing my first recording ever. Any big tips I should know? It will be a live recording.
Get a seatbelt.
Seatbelt.
You know.
It's the truth. Live recordings are terrifying.
Lock yourself in and hope for the best. You know, chalk it up to experience, because if it's the first time you've ever done it, just play as if you were recording. You have no control over what the engineer is going to receive, except that you play what you feel, and then it's up to them to tweak it. There's nothing else you can do about that.
Yeah, cool. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I've seen you play with 4 sticks before.
Yeah.
Is it possible, to, even just for like a minute, can you show a few of those things? Because I think it would be so cool for our students to see that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
I know it's like a brand new setup. You've only been here for 2 days, so I appreciate you trying.
Wow.
Yeah. How did you come up with that?
Chalk it up to another mentor of mine named Louis Belson, who was doing this back in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And some guys play, so you have one and you have one, and it's more like so. But I chose to do it this way. When I because I can control the angles, the width of the sticks. Also, I can control the length of the stick.
Yeah.
You know, this way. And I can shimmy up the drumstick. My hands are much more loose, and get the sounds that I'm looking for to make a specific effect.
Yeah.
You know, but right now, because of, again, my concept of playing drums and designing them in real time for what I feel I'd like to be challenged with.
Yeah.
You know, you gave me 3 toms, and I went, yeah, I could always have the smallest one here and the next one. But why when I could do this? And I had a 14, not over here, no. I could have kept it there, but no, I would have used the 18. And
Yeah.
I thought, let's try this. I don't do it that often. Yeah. To me, that's the fun in playing drums. It's to challenge myself, to see what I can do right at the moment.
Yeah.
And as I keep playing them, the thing is, I start to get used to it, and then when I go back home, I go,
It's new again.
no, we have to change.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, we are pretty much out of time.
Okay.
There's a lot of questions we didn't get to, and so we're going to have you back at some point.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, hey? I'd really encourage you all to check out Billy Cobham. You have a website, billycobham.com. You can go check out the Art of Rhythm section retreat. If you have any questions related to Drumeo or anything like that, you can always email me. It's jared@drumeo.com. Feel free to send me an email. We'd love to have you inside of the Drumeo website. We've got some great lessons with Billy coming up, and great lessons with so many other amazing teachers and amazing drummers. And so we just love to teach here. So we'd love for you guys to check it out. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's mine.
For coming here. And you know, he came all the way from Switzerland to Abbotsford, which is east of Vancouver. So you had to really try to get here. it's
Wouldn't have been able to do it without you, I tell you.
Okay, but we really appreciate you coming, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
So the last song you are going to be playing is called Obliquely Speaking.
Yeah.
And this is from the album. Which album is this from?
Obliquely Speaking, I think it's from an album called Palindrome.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. I hope this works.
Okay.
You never know with this stuff.